Welcome back, everybody. Today's deep dive is going to be into something pretty wild.
Mm.
We're talking about Godmode AI.
Ooh, very timely. I've seen it popping up all over the place. What is it, like some kind of super-powered AI?
Basically, yeah, it's this AI agent platform, and people are going crazy for it. You ready for this? 1 million users in just 3 months.
Seriously, that's incredible. Okay, I'm officially intrigued. Where are we getting our info on this God mode thing?
We're looking at a couple things for this deep dive. We've got the Godmode GitHub repository and their website, godmode.space.
Sounds good. So, first things first, what exactly is God mode? Like, what does it even do?
So it's a web platform that's built on these two other AI systems,
Yeah.
AutoGPT and Baby AGI.
Auto what now?
Auto what? Sorry, you lost me a little there.
Yeah. The AI world loves its acronyms, doesn't it? Basically, think of them as like building blocks for God mode.
Okay, I'm listening. Break it down for me.
So AutoGPT is all about automating tasks. You give it instructions, and it uses GPT-4 to figure out what to do and actually does it. So kind of like a really smart robot that does your digital chores.
Exactly. And then you've got Baby AGI, which is more about project management. It takes big goals and breaks them down into smaller, manageable steps.
So God mode combines these two approaches. It's like having a taskmaster and a project manager all rolled into one.
Right. And the best part, it's designed to be user-friendly, even though the stuff happening behind the scenes is super complex.
Wait, so I don't need to be like a coding genius to use it?
Nope. The developers, these guys, Emil Albach, David Fant, and Lonis, they really wanted to make this accessible to everyone. You don't need to understand all the code to harness the power of God mode.
Music to my ears.
Ah.
Okay, you've piqued my curiosity. What can God mode actually do? Like, give me some concrete examples.
Okay, get this. The website has these examples that are pretty mind-blowing. Like, imagine you need to do market research for, let's say, a new vegan protein bar.
Okay, yeah, that's a pretty specific scenario, but I'm following.
Right. God mode can analyze consumer trends, competitor products, even suggest pricing strategies, all that stuff. It can even write you a killer resignation letter.
Hold on, from marketing analysis to writing resignation letters, that's quite a range.
I know, right? And it gets even crazier. It can even explore, like, the possibility of an advanced pre-Ice Age civilization.
Okay, now that's just wild. Pre-Ice Age civilizations. How does it even...
I know, it's like, whoa. But that's what's so fascinating about God mode. It's not just automating boring tasks. It can analyze mountains of data, pull information from all over the place, and even come up with creative scenarios. It's almost like having a second brain that can tackle anything you throw at it.
Okay, I gotta admit, I'm starting to see why it's got 1 million users already. But let's bring it back down to earth for a sec. How would, like, a normal person actually use God mode in their daily life?
Right. So think of any task that involves, like, tons of research, planning, creative thinking, you name it. God mode can be your digital assistant working in the background to make those things easier.
So instead of me spending hours on Google, I could just ask God mode to find the info I need.
Exactly. And it can do it way faster than a human. Plus, it presents the information in a way that's easy to understand. Think of the time you could save.
Okay, color me intrigued. But how does all this magic actually work? I did see something about Python and TypeScript on GitHub, but that's the extent of my tech knowledge.
Yeah, I hear ya.
Yeah.
The nitty-gritty details are pretty complex. Essentially, God mode uses Python and TypeScript, which are these popular programming languages, and it taps into the power of GPT 3.5 and GPT 4, which are these large language models developed by OpenAI. That's how it understands instructions and generates all that text.
So a lot of complicated stuff happening behind the scenes, but I don't need to worry about it.
Not at all. That's the beauty of it. The interface is designed to be super user-friendly, even if you're not a tech whiz.
That's good news. But from what you've said, it sounds like God mode is still pretty new, right? Still under development.
Yeah, you're right. The website says it's in early development, but they're already cooking up God mode V2, which is supposed to be specifically for automating business processes.
Whoa. So instead of having a whole team working on those tedious tasks, businesses could just use God mode.
Exactly. It could totally revolutionize the way businesses work, freeing up employees to focus on more creative, strategic stuff. I can definitely see the potential for things to get a lot more efficient and maybe even more innovative with something like God mode. This is seriously fascinating stuff.
Agreed. We've only just scratched the surface here. We've talked about what God mode is, how it works, a few examples of what it can do. But to really grasp its impact, we need to dig deeper into how it could be used in different areas.
Yeah, you're right. We've talked about some individual use cases, but how could this be applied on a larger scale? Like, how could Businesses, nonprofits, all kinds of organizations actually use God mode in their day-to-day operations. What kind of impact could it have?
That's a great question, and that's exactly what we're going to dive into next. We'll look at some real-world examples of how God mode could be used in different sectors, and we'll talk about both the potential benefits and the challenges that come with it.
Sounds like we're just getting to the really good part. This is definitely a deep dive I'm glad we're taking together.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit and really explore how God mode could shake things up for different organizations. Like, where do we even begin with that?
Well, we were just talking about businesses, so how about we start there? Picture, like, a marketing team. They're trying to launch a brand new product, maybe even those vegan protein bars we talked about before.
Okay, yeah, I can see it.
Yeah.
They got this amazing product, but now they got to get people excited about it. So
Mhm.
how could God mode help with that?
Well, instead of, spending hours and hours researching demographics and wading through all that data, they could just have God mode do it for them. Analyze market trends, identify influencers, even write social media posts for different audiences. It could even come up with like catchy slogans and stuff.
So it's like having a marketing assistant that never sleeps. Frees up the human team to focus on, like, the big picture stuff.
Exactly. It's all about working smarter, not harder, right? Okay, now how about something totally different? Imagine like a nonprofit organization that's working on environmental conservation.
Okay, yeah, I'm curious to see how God mode fits into that kind of work.
Let's say they're trying to protect an endangered species. They could use God mode to like analyze habitat data, track poaching patterns, maybe even predict future threats based on all those climate change models out there. And it could even help them with fundraising, like identify potential donors and write grant proposals.
Wow. So even in a field like conservation, God mode could be a huge asset for making decisions and taking action.
Totally. Okay, now what about something like scientific research? How could God mode be useful there?
Yeah, that's a good one. Research can be such a long and complicated process. I could see God mode being helpful there.
Right. So think about a research team that's trying to, I don't know, develop a new drug. God mode could help them analyze tons of scientific papers, identify promising research avenues, maybe even help design experiments, and of course, help with writing all those papers and grant proposals.
It's like fast forwarding scientific progress.
Yeah.
So much potential there. Okay, last one. What about government agencies? Could they use God mode too?
For sure. Think about a city government trying to make public transportation better. God mode could analyze traffic patterns, identify problem areas, maybe even simulate different scenarios to find the most efficient solutions.
So we've talked about how organizations could use God mode, but what about individuals, like someone who's not part of a big team or project?
Ah, there are still tons of possibilities. Think about a student writing a research paper. God mode could help them find sources, analyze information, even create a first draft. Or someone with a great business idea. God mode could help them write a business plan, research the market, even connect with potential investors.
So no matter what you're doing or what your goals are, God mode could make your work more efficient, your research more thorough, your ideas like way more impactful. It's like having a whole team of experts on call 24/7.
Yeah, exactly. And this is just the beginning, right? As God mode keeps evolving, we're going to see all sorts of new uses popping up. It's really exciting to think about.
It is. But with all this amazing potential, I gotta wonder, are there any limitations? Like, is there anything God mode just can't do?
That's a really important question. As powerful as God mode is, it's still a tool. It can only work with the data it's given and the instructions it receives. It can't replace like human judgment or creativity or critical thinking.
So it's not about blindly trusting God mode to do everything, but rather using it as a partner to help us do things better.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance between human intelligence and artificial intelligence. And that actually brings up another really important question. What are the potential downsides of relying too much on AI agents like God mode?
Right, because with any new technology, there are always risks to consider. What are some things we should be thinking about as we move into this future with AI being more and more integrated into our lives?
One concern is, jobs. As AI gets more sophisticated, it's possible it could automate some jobs that humans currently do, which could mean job losses in certain sectors.
That's a valid concern for sure. We have to be aware of the potential impact on the workforce and make sure people are ready for the jobs of the future.
Another big concern is bias. These AI systems are trained on tons of data, and if that data contains biases, the AI can actually perpetuate those biases.
So, like, if the data used to train God mode is skewed in some way, it could produce results that are unfair.
Exactly. That's why it's so important to make sure the data is diverse and representative of everyone.
It sounds like there's a lot of responsibility that comes with developing and using AI technology.
Absolutely. We can't just jump into this without thinking about the ethical implications. We need to make sure AI is used for good and that it benefits everyone.
Yeah, we've talked about all the potential benefits of God mode, but it's crucial to recognize the risks too.
It's a complicated landscape for sure, but I think the takeaway here is that AI is this powerful tool and it has the potential to change the world in amazing ways. But ultimately, it's up to us as humans to guide its development and make sure it's used ethically.
Well said. It feels like we're at this crossroads with incredible opportunities on one side and potential risks on the other. What are your thoughts on the future of God mode and AI agents in general?
I think it's safe to say that AI agents are here to stay. I mean, look at how quickly God mode has taken off. They went from 0 to 1 million users in just a few months. People are clearly excited about the possibilities.
1 million users. Yeah, that's a pretty clear sign that people are eager to use AI to, work smarter and solve problems more effectively. But what does that mean for the future? What's next for God mode?
Well, they already mentioned God Mode V2, which is going to focus on automating business processes. And I think we're going to see AI agents get more and more specialized, tailored to specific industries and tasks.
So like a God mode agent for marketing, one for research, one for project management, each one fine-tuned to do its thing really well.
Exactly. And as AI keeps getting better, we'll see even more impressive capabilities. Things like better understanding of language, better reasoning skills, even the ability to learn and adapt to new situations more quickly.
It's pretty amazing to think about all the possibilities.
Hmm.
But with all this power comes a lot of responsibility, right? We talked about some of the ethical concerns earlier. What can we do to minimize those risks and make sure AI is used for the right reasons?
Transparency is huge. Developers need to be open about how their AI systems work, what data they're using, what they're doing to address potential biases. Everything needs to be out in the open.
So no more black boxes. We need to be able to see what's going on under the hood.
Absolutely. And we need to focus on education and retraining. As AI takes over some tasks, we need to make sure people have the skills to succeed in the new jobs that will come with AI.
Right. It's not about being replaced by AI. It's about learning how to use AI to your advantage.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And at the end of the day, it all comes down to values. We need to develop and use AI systems that reflect human values. Things like fairness, transparency, accountability. We have to remember that AI is a tool, and it's up to us to decide how to use it.
So it's not just about what AI can do, it's about what it should do.
Yeah.
This is a conversation that goes beyond technology. It's about society as a whole.
Couldn't agree more. The decisions we make about AI development today will have a huge impact on the future.
This deep dive into God mode has been so insightful. We've covered a lot of ground. We talked about the technical side of AI agents, their potential impact on different areas, and the ethical considerations we need to be thinking about. It's clear that we're on the verge of a huge technological shift, and it's up to us to figure out how it all plays out.
It really has been a fascinating conversation, and I hope our listeners now have a better understanding of this incredible technology and all that comes with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we wrap things up, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about. We've talked about how AI has the power to change the world, but the real question is, how will you use this technology to make a difference? What problem are you going to solve? How will you contribute to this future with AI? We should all be asking ourselves these questions as we move forward.
That's a great point. It reminds us that the future of AI isn't set in stone. We're all shaping it with our choices and actions.
And that's a wrap for this deep dive into God Mode AI. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll be back soon with another exploration of the latest trends and ideas that are shaping our world. Until then, keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible. We've talked a lot about God mode and how it could impact specific organizations and even individuals.
Right, right. But I think what's really interesting here is that God mode is part of this bigger trend in tech. Like it's making these really powerful tools available to, well, everyone.
You're totally right. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that this kind of AI was only for like big companies and research labs. And now anyone with an internet connection can use it.
Yeah, exactly. And that makes you wonder, what happens when everyone has access to tools this powerful? What does it mean for society as a whole?
Okay, yeah, now we're getting into some deep stuff. What kind of future are we creating when AI becomes so integrated into everything we do?
It's tough to say for sure, but if you look at how fast God mode has grown, it's a good indication of where things might be headed. 1 million users in a few months. That tells you something.
Yeah, people are definitely ready to embrace AI. They want to use it to be more productive, more creative, solve problems in new ways. But where do we go from here? What's next for God mode and really for all these AI agents that are popping up?
Well, they're already working on Godmode V2, right? The one that's focused on automating business stuff. And I bet we're going to see AI agents become even more specialized, like tailored for very specific jobs and tasks.
So instead of just one God mode, there'll be a whole bunch of them, each one an expert in its own area.
Yep, like a God mode for marketing, another one for research, another one for project management. And as these AI models keep getting better, we'll see them do even more impressive things, understanding language more naturally, reasoning better, even learning and adapting faster.
It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it, but all this power comes with a lot of responsibility, right?
Yeah.
We talked about the potential risks, things like jobs and bias. So what can we do to make sure AI is used ethically? What can we do to prevent those downsides?
I think transparency is super important. Developers have to be upfront about how their AI works, what data it uses, how they're dealing with potential bias. It all has to be open and accountable.
So no more hiding behind the curtain. We need to be able to see what's going on inside these AI systems.
Exactly. We also need to think about education and retraining. As AI automates certain tasks, we need to prepare people for the new kinds of jobs that will emerge.
So it's less about being replaced by AI and more about learning how to use AI to your advantage.
That's the idea. And, at the end of the day, it all comes back to values. We need to make sure that the AI we develop reflects human values. Things like fairness, transparency, accountability. It's our responsibility to use AI for good.
So it's not just about what AI can do, it's about what it should do. This isn't just a tech conversation, it's about our values as a society.
Exactly. And the choices we make today about AI will have a huge impact on the kind of world we create tomorrow.
This deep dive into God mode has given us so much to think about. We covered the tech behind AI agents, how they could change different sectors, all the ethical questions we need to be asking. It's clear that we're at the beginning of a massive shift in technology, and it's up to us to navigate it responsibly.
It's been an amazing discussion. I hope our listeners have a better understanding of this tech and all the possibilities and challenges that come with it.
Me too. And you know what? Before we sign off, I want to leave our listeners with this thought. We've talked about how AI has the potential to change everything. But the question is, how will you use it to make a difference? What problem are you going to solve? How will you contribute to this new world with AI in it? We should all be asking ourselves these questions as we move forward.
That's such a great point. It reminds us that the future of AI isn't predetermined. It's up to each of us to shape it.
And that's a wrap on our deep dive into Godmode AI. Thanks for listening, everybody. Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep imagining what's possible.